Hi guys, this is Monica. I'm back. I'm doing another person on this Black History Challenge. And the person that I am doing today is Fredric Douglass. Fredric Douglass, his original name was Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. Fredric Douglass was a leader in the abolitionist movement, an early champion of women's rights, and an author of narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was born into slavery around 1818 in Talbot County, Maryland. In most cases, slaves didn't know the exact year or date of their birthday, but Frederick Douglass, later on in his life, he chose to celebrate his birthday on February the 14th, and that is Valentine's Day. Uh, he became one of the most famous intellectual men of his time. He advised presidents and he lectures to thousands of people about women's rights and Irish home rule. He lived with, when he was younger, he lived with his grandmother, and her name was Betty Bailey. At a young age, Frederick Douglass was selected to live in the home of the plantation owners, one of whom could have been his father. Um, his mother was intermittent in his life. She died when he was 10 years old. There was a ban on teaching slaves to read and write. A Baltimore slaveholder who owes his wife Sophia taught Frederick Douglass the alphabet when he was around 12 years old. When all forbade his wife to offer his wife to teach Frederick Douglass any more lessons of the alphabet, so what he did was Frederick Douglass learned how to read by others people in the neighborhood. He read newspapers and he sought out political writings and literature as much as possible. He taught other slaves how to read the New Testament at weekly services. Did try to escape twice before he finally succeeded. He did marry a woman named Anna Murray. She was a free black woman. On September the 15th, 1838 is when they was married. He had fallen in love with her because she had helped him to escape in his final attempt. They adopted a name called Johnson to disguise Douglas' identity, and they settled in New Bradford, Massachusetts, which was a thriving black community during that day and age. They had 5 children. Their names were Rosetta, Lewis Henry, Frederick Jr., Charles Redmond, and Annie. Annie died when she was 10 years old. Charles and Rosetta assisted Frederick Douglass with his newspaper, which was called the North Star. Anna, she did remain loyal supporter of Douglass in all his public work, despite they did have a lot of marital issues because of his relationship with different women. Um, but she did pass, and he remarried a lady named Helen Pitts. She was a feminist from New York. She was also the daughter of Gideon Pitts Jr. He was an abolitionist colleague of Frederick Douglass. Their marriage did cause a lot of controversy because she was of another race and she was 20 years younger than he was. And it caused a lot of controversy with his children and people in the world. But they did stay married for 11 years until his death. Following the publication of his autobiography in 1845, Frederick Douglass traveled overseas to escape bondage. He went to Liverpool on August 16, 1845, and he arrived in Ireland as the potato famine was just beginning. He remained in Ireland, Britain for like 2 years, speaking to crowds about the evils of slavery. Um, During that time, his supporters, the British people, they purchased his freedom. So in 1847, the Frederick Douglass returned back to the United States, a free man, and he produced some abolitionist newspapers. They were called the North Star, Frederick Douglass Weekly, Frederick Douglass Paper, Douglass Monthly, and New National Era. Frederick Douglass wrote and published his first autobiographical narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave, in 1845. The book was a bestseller in the United States and was translated into several European languages. Sorry. Um, he did publish three versions of his autobiography during his lifetime, and he revised it and he expanded his work each time. One was called My Bondage and My Freedom. It appeared in 1855. In 1881, he published another one called Life of Time and Times of Frederick Douglass. Um, Beside him being an abolitionist, he was a very outspoken about the women's right. In 1848, he was the only African American to attend the Seneca Falls Convention on women's rights. By the time of the Civil War, Frederick Douglass was one of the most famous black men in the country. He used his statue to influence the role of African American men in the war and their status in the country. He was appointed to several different political positions following the war. He served as the president of the Freedmen Savings Bank and as chargé d'affaires for the Dominican Republic. After 2 years, he did resign his ambassadorship over objections to the particulars of the U.S. government policy. He was later appointed minister, resident, and consul general to the Republic of Haiti, and he held that between 1889 and 1891. He became the first African American nominated for President of the United States as Victoria Woodhull's running. Uh, he was Victoria Woodhull's running mate. It was called the Equal Rights Party ticket in 1872. Y'all look that up because that's I never did know that he ran for. He was picked to be vice president. He was not nominated. He was nominated. He was not asked, and he did not give his consent. So he never campaigned. So that with that nomination, he was the first African American to appear on a presidential ballot. He died on February the 20th, 1895, of a massive heart attack or stroke after returning from the meeting of the National Council of Women in Washington, D.C. He was buried in Mount Hope Cemetery in Rochester, New York. I hope this was very informational to you guys. I am going to do another one tomorrow. So, if this challenge is about positivity, I hope that this doesn't make anyone feel any kind of way. I'm just doing this to spread positive and just celebrating Black history because February is the Black History Month. And if you want to do the challenge, just pick somebody that was influential in Black history that was very prominent and just put the hashtag Black History Challenge. I hope you all like this video. If you like it, share it, comment on it, and subscribe, and hit that notification button. Thank you. Have a good night.